Hey everybody, Donkey Storm here, and today we're going to be talking about patch 9.1.5 and WoW. Is it enough to save the Shadowlands? We're going to look at all the parts of the patch, break them down one by one, and answer this question. Is it enough to keep people still playing interested? Is it enough to maybe bring some people back that we lost over the last year? So when I think about people that left the game or might be less than happy with the game, I kind of put them in three camps, and we're going to use the very high-tech MS Paint to say what these camps are. So number one would be people who are generally disappointed or maybe have issues with some of the systems or the direction of WoW in general. I think this is a big, diverse group. Some of these people still play this game. I would say even in some senses I'm part of this group. There are parts of the Shadowlands systems that I'm not a huge fan of. And I think for a variety of reasons, some people may have left the game because of this. Some people may be kind of hot and cold with the game because of this. But that's one big group of people who are maybe not so happy with the game right now. A second group of people may have been turned off by the content drought. We have had Shadowlands for almost a year now. We've had one major patch, and this 0.5 patch, which is going to be coming out on Tuesday, is also pretty major, but there's no new raid, there's no new dungeons, so I think having an issue with the content drought is definitely a fair point. And then finally, we've got the just kind of general negativity around Blizzard / lawsuit crowd. So people who left, due to some of the real nasty stuff we heard about over the summer. We lost a lot of content creators during that time. People moving on to other games. People just being really kind of turned off by Blizzard and WoW specifically. So we lost a lot of people for that reason too. So if I'm Blizzard with 9.1.5, I'm looking to get some of these people back by making some really positive changes with my game. These people down here, it's probably going to take a little bit more than that. We're talking about a moral issue at that point, and that's not something you can usually change with a content patch. So I'm going to be thinking from the perspective of these people. Is 9.1.5 enough to bring them back? So let's take a look at all the different pieces of this major 0.5 patch. Probably the biggest 0.5 patch I can remember. And there are some parts we're going to kind of gloss over, such as this achievement section. And we're going to look at the big PvE items, because at least for me as a player, that's where I do most of my playing. So first things first, we got allied races. We have some new customizations for High Mountain Tauren, Lightforged Draenei, Nightborn, and Void Elves, which is always cool. New character customization, sign me up. Heritage armor, all that kind of stuff. I'm always super into it. And also the quest lines to unlock them is going to get a little bit easier. Good change. A lot of that BFA stuff is, no longer current. And forcing people to spend time on it is just kind of silly. We're going to get some weather effects in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. Sure, why not? This is one of the big ones. So when Shadowlands was released, many abilities were target capped, meaning that in an AoE situation, they would only do damage up to a specific number of targets, no matter how many targets were around. And this turned a lot of people off right from the get-go. It's been unpopular ever since. So this cap is being softened. Again, it's not being removed, which is a word I'm hearing thrown around a lot. It's being softened in most cases, where instead of doing no damage past 5 enemies, for example, now an ability might do a reduced amount of damage beyond 5. So it's not gone, but it has changed. And I think this is a really positive change. It's going to feel really nice for a lot of melee DPS classes like Rogue, Warrior, Death Knight. I think are going to be big beneficiaries of this. I'm unsure of how impactful it will be, as we have to remember Mythic Plus is probably where this is going to be affected the most, And Shadowlands dungeons were designed for target capped classes. And they're not, many of them don't lend themselves to massive pulls. Unless you're in some very high level group that's coordinated like that. So the effect of this remains to be seen. I think it's going to feel really good though. And I think all in all, very positive change. We're not going to go through every single one of these. That could be a video in and of itself. I think it makes a lot more sense to maybe check back in on this in a few weeks and see how it plays out. But as you can see here, every class seemingly is getting something AoE cap softened. All right, let's scroll down here a little bit. Covenants. I am so excited for this one. So once you reach 80 renown with any covenant, you'll be able to freely switch to that covenant with no cooldown or restriction. So for example, my Night Fae Druid, who is covenant 80, unlocks Night Fae for all my characters. Now all my characters can swap to Night Fae anytime. And as you hit more covenants at max renown, you're going to get more options. This is so good. This is so good because the covenant system is very oppressive to playing the game the way you want to play it. And that's never a good thing. Like, I've been dying to try Kyrian Discipline on my priest, but I can't do it because I main raid as Shadow and I can't go Kyrian. So I just don't have that opportunity. I would love to try Vent Their Boomkin on my Druid, but I'm locked into Night Fae. So all of a sudden, these restrictions are going to be gone. It's going to feel really nice. So I'm really looking forward to that. This one's a little bit bittersweet because if you beta tested the game like I did, many people did, and you provided feedback saying that the Covenant systems were flawed, and this was no surprise. People saw this coming. People knew that the locked-in nature of covenants was going to be an issue. It's a little bittersweet to see this change coming a year after the fact. It's awesome that it happened. I mean, I'll take it for sure, but there's a little part of me that just kind of wishes it would always been like that. And along with this, as you can see, there's a load of just kind of quality of life changes around the different Covenant Sanctum things that we're not going to get into in depth. It's all good stuff. It's all things that make the game more fun to play the way you want to play it. You get to spend more time doing the things you enjoy, which is what this patch is really all about. Dungeons and raids. So Legion is being added to the time walking pool, and even more excitingly, the Legion dungeons are going to be added in the form of Mythic Plus, meaning you'll be able to get Legion loot at a current item level, which is going to be super fun. It's just going to be super fun to do something different, I think, in the Mythic Plus world. So I'm really excited for that one. I think it's going to be super cool to take our current classes and meta and apply them to those dungeons that were very differently designed than what we're playing now. So really looking forward to that and getting into that. On top of that, along with Legion Time Walking, we're going to get the Mage Tower back, which it was a kind of solo scenario that we had back in Legion. And it was pretty challenging, but once you beat it, you got some transmog stuff for your class that was all pretty cool. They're being reskinned, so if you got the original, you can still feel, really cool about doing it back and have that prestige from doing it back in the day, but we can get the same thing, just a little bit differently colored. And then on top of that, some of the time-walking dungeons are being rotated a bit, so some of the old dungeons for time walking are being removed, replaced with different ones. It's just going to be a nice breath of fresh air if you do time walking at all, maybe on an alt or something. It'll be nice to do something different. What I'm really hoping with the Legion time walking is that it starts a new trend of revamping old dungeons for Mythic Plus. I've been talking about that for a long time, actually. I think it would be so cool to go back and do like some Wrath of the Lich King dungeons as Mythic Plus, some Burning Crusade dungeons as Mythic Plus. I know they'd probably have to retool those a little bit more because it's a very different time in the game, but man, I think that would be so cool if this started that trend. We're getting a nerf to bolstering and necrotic, which is awesome. Those two affixes, I mean, they suck. Nobody wants to play during those weeks. And if you look at the nerfs, they're still going to be tough. They're not going to be like non-factors by any means, but they'll be a little bit more manageable. Raging too, which I don't find to be as bad, but that's also getting nerfed. Some of the Legion raids are being adjusted to be easier to farm for transmog. Cool, I'll take it. If you want to do island expeditions and war fronts, God bless you. You can go ahead and do that without me. So Korthia and the Maw. Lots of quality of life changes being added here. Things being easier to obtain. Just overall nice things if you choose to engage in that content. Usually I do it as little as possible, and then once I get what I want, I am done there. So for someone like me, this isn't going to affect me too much. I'm probably going to still be avoiding that as much as possible, but if you want to engage in the Maw or Korthia, maybe you didn't before, maybe this will actually push you toward doing that. I'm not going to get too far in the PvP stuff because I just don't really PvP much anymore, and I'll probably say something stupid, so we'll just avoid that. So overall, I think we're getting pretty close to the end here. So one nice thing, Torghast. Let's talk about Torghast. So you're going to get increased soul ash per run, and it's also going to be infinitely farmable, which is great. So if you want a legendary, you pop into Torghast, you just get it all done in one shot, and then you're done with Torghast. It's not like a weeks long slog to get what you want. If you want a new legendary, you're starting a new alt, there you go. Go get it, and that's that. Also, basically being able to, I don't know if disenchant is the word, but scrap legendaries for Soul Ash and Soul Cinders to get a refund on those currency. Super nice. If you crafted a legendary you no longer use, now you can put it toward a new legendary. So that's the big stuff. I know there's lots of other things. We could talk about this patch for a really long time. I wanted to go over the big stuff, and then I want to get back here. So will this patch bring these people back? In my opinion, if you have any interest in Shadowlands, or ever had any interest in Shadowlands going back from release, this patch is really the best they could have done with what's in place. We're not going to get a new Torghast or get rid of Torghast, but this makes Torghast as accessible and painless as possible. We're not going to get rid of Covenants, but this makes Covenants as accessible as I think they can make them. I think this was the best they could do with what they had to work with. So in my opinion, if you had any interest at all in returning to the game, and Shadowlands wasn't just like complete turn off to you, or you're not in this camp where you're morally obligated to not return, I think it's a good time to come back. You can get caught up really quickly now. If you want to make an ult, change specs, all that has become so much easier, and I'm really excited for it. And I know that there's a lot of people who, don't intend to come back, and that's fine. That's your choice. But I'm very excited about this patch. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about it. So please let me know in the comments if this is something that's going to be enough to bring you back, or what would it take to bring you back, or what is your level of excitement around this patch? Let me know in the comments. And if you guys like what you saw today, please like the video, throw me a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I will catch you next time.